Hello everybody, thank you for coming back to the channel and welcome to this side project of converting the Lidl Glider into a tri-motor, kind of like a Ford tri-motor, Junkers or one of the Italians. The Italians had a lot of tri-motors, didn't they? So basically we're leaving it off that the motor mounts are pretty much ready, but I want to make something else because I think I mentioned it on the other time also. If the motor is glued here, let's see if I don't break anything, let's see if you can see it, so the motor will glue onto here, but if the glue falls off or somehow breaks off or there's a hard landing, there's a high chance that this falls off. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the motor mounts, maybe just with some smaller or with some thinner wood, maybe there's a 1/4 inch, 6 mm, extend it at the top and at the bottom, glue there some pieces, and then drill a hole through that I can, with a skewer that I have somewhere, with a skewer, kind of a dowel, be able to jam it through that piece of wood and the wing itself, so that there's a bit of a better chance of it staying in one piece. So it could also damage the wing, but it's foam. I think that's repairable. But I want to make sure that the motors, there's going to be quite a lot of vibration for sure. So that's the first thing, that I'm going to fix up the motor mounts somehow, make them stay there, and then for the rest of the chapter the trick is going to be, or the challenge is going to be, if I get my spaghetti ball unspaghettied or unballed, is to somehow mount, if I have the motor, I don't know if you can see it, yeah, if I have the motor here, so I've got to somehow bring the cables out. I don't know if I'll do it internally or externally. The cables to the servos are internally, but I might then make another hole in here and somehow bring the cable, might be gluing it down simply or putting some tape over it, wrapping up the cable on itself, mounting the ESC and the battery somehow, and then covering it up somehow to reduce a little bit the drag. I still need some ventilation to come in here, so I will probably cover it up, but with some holes and also some exit for the ventilation. So that's something that I've got to figure out along the way. So follow me along, at least when I have the engines kind of mounted, if not glued, then I'll give you an update and see what I can do with the electronics, packing all the electronics on the wing. And this is getting very heavy. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to fly, but the experiment is there. So I've managed to kind of install engine number 3. Let me show it to you. I still haven't glued it on. So you see I've stuck on that piece of balsa on the top, and you can see it on the bottom, and this one holds okay. And then with the skewer I basically pushed it through the wing, and now it's actually being held only physically. There's still no glue. I'm still leaving the skewer long, proud of it, so that I can pull it out if needed. Well, I want to pull it out later and then eventually put on some glue on it. And I've got then the other motor. The other motor is kind of a little bit more challenging. This is the structure that I have with the pieces of wood. The top one is holding well, the bottom one is, I tried to squeeze it on and it cracked open. So I've actually put on some more glue, and I've actually put in even some super glue, which I'm not a fan of, but I'm hoping that helps hold it. So that is then going to be then the other engine, and then I was already laying things out just to figure out how things are going to go. So I'm planning to basically the ESC, maybe with a rubber band, keep the engine connectors, basically fold them like this, and then the battery connector, fold it somehow also to the back. I want to have the battery at the back so that I can reach at it. And basically once the skewer is off, this would somehow connecting like this. I need to see how I'm going to plug in the cables, what directions are going to go, or with what cable goes where. Then the battery connector is going to be here at the back, that I can put in the battery on from the back. And then maybe more importantly, I've got to figure out then this cable. I think the ESC cable is long enough to kind of come along, maybe even on the leading edge of the wing, and go into this hole that I drilled out, or I dug out in the foam, where actually the ESC and everything is, to then actually then connect it to the Y cable. So I'll probably be trying to figure that out, make a hole in the side, and get this, maybe unplug the cable, put it in, and then have it as the least amount of cables on the outside. The challenge on the other hand is that already the inside is very fully packed. So this is what I'm going to try to do on this engine, and then also figure out the battery and things like that. So this is then engine number 3, and then hopefully then the same will be done then for engine number 1. Just a short update, just because it's fun. So I've been battling a little bit to put on these propellers. These are, I think, drone propellers I got some time ago, and I have the clockwise and the counterclockwise. This one is all scuffed up because I had it on the Piper Cub, which never flew, probably never will. So basically I'm trying out, the other option is to put the orange propellers all across, but they'll all be turning the same direction. So I want to try with a bit of the counter rotating. So I've got this one on engine number 3, which is rotating like this, which is what is it, counterclockwise, seen from the back, and I think that's correct, that it goes down on the inside, and then this one will go then on the other engine. So I had to do a bit of a test. That's why I've got everything connected up, just to make sure that I've got the cables connecting the motor and the ESC in the right direction. I didn't, so I had to change it, but now I think it's okay. So let me push up the throttle a little bit. You see that one starts first, and then if I push it up a little bit more, at some point also engine number 2 also starts up. As I noticed, I already tried to calibrate that ESC once, and it doesn't want to, so this is basically what I have. So now I have a twin engine, but this is not going to fly, is it? So the setup is okay, so I'll continue now to figure out how to fix the electronics on top of the wing. Just wanted to show that. Some progress, and the more I get along, the more and more cluttered the workspace becomes, and the less space there is. So what I managed to do, I don't know if I showed it already or not, I managed to put in the cable with from the ESC to put it through. I made a hole there and I connected it to the Y cable, so that should now work. Actually I haven't tested it, but it's connected, so it should work. I've also fixed the ESC to the wing, and what I did for that, I don't know if you can see it, that's from the top. It's actually two, let's see from the bottom, knock something over, two, what are these called, zip ties. Two zip ties. I have to cut this off. It's actually quite neat, so I'm actually quite satisfied. It's these small ones, so I needed two, but it's okay, because then I just connect one to another, and then basically the ESC is now fixed in place, kind of hope. Then I use some velcro to, I stuck some velcro to the wing, and I've got some velcro on this battery already. On the other one I don't, but I can put it on. So then this can work like this, and then eventually the plan is, or the idea is, that I would then connect it here from the back, be able to connect it up. The next step was I took a bottle of milk, this one like this one, and I traced on it the shape of the profile. I used the same shape, the same template I had for that I used for the wood, for the engine mounts, and basically eyeballed it, and finally came up with this shape. The most annoying part here is actually to remove the sticker, because I tried with Surgical Spirit and it didn't work. Water and soap didn't work. Eventually it was WD-40 that helped, but then of course I had to clean the WD-40. And then thoughts came up like, if something is slippery, is it also more aerodynamic? Probably not. If not, we would probably smear our airplanes with oil, right? But anyhow, so that is then what it looks like now. If I fit it on this other wing, just so that you see, and I also left some tabs here, because I might use them then to fix it. So that is how it would sit without the motor on it. I'm thinking that then I might shorten the back a little bit. That's relatively easy, but I might leave it like that. I was thinking of maybe closing it down at the end, but that is going to give me two problems. First, that I might not be able to reach in to change the battery, and second, that it's going to be messy, because it's going to then start to bend in all the wrong places. So what I've got to do now, because I've got this, if you remember, I've still got a bit of the skewer sticking out, so let me try to shorten it and shorten only the skewer without skewing anything else. Yeah, flew away. And now the idea is that this would kind of come over this, push the tabs aside, and of course this is too high. I have to squeeze the cables down, and of course doing this I'm afraid of breaking the whole wing, right? So this would in theory come something like this, and the theory is not working out in practice, but let's say with some fiddling around it might actually work. I might need to do some corrections, cut it out a little. What did I drop? A propeller. Cut it out a little bit more, maybe this, the plate actually might be an issue, and now it's actually sticking out too much. I might need to make a hole there for the plate where the engine mount is, which is maybe also an idea to help fix it in place. So that is, once I manage to tweak it down, what it would look like. It looks positively horrid, but it is what it is. There's the propeller I dropped. The propeller would then kind of come in here and hopefully make it a little bit more aerodynamic, maybe create some lift, maybe not. A lot of drag. I'm not sure if this is going to fly with all the weight and everything. And then if I want to make it a little bit nicer, I could scuff it up with some sandpaper and maybe spray paint it also. But for the moment maybe I just leave it like this. I think it's not a bad idea that it's somehow removable. So I'll play a little bit more around with it, maybe make a cut so that I can fix the cowling. I'm going to call it the cowling in its place, and then when that is done, have to do the other side and then figure out how to push all the spaghetti into the cockpit. So I think I'm going to call it a day on the tri-motor Lidl. I still haven't put on the cowlings. I have the bottles of milk there, but it's really very cumbersome. And I'm not sure if I look at the profile that actually it would help. It would be much bigger, and yes, indeed it would maybe cover up the drag that the wires are creating, but I'm not sure if it's going to help. So I might give it a try to continue with that, but we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, as you can hopefully see, I've managed to putting all the spaghetti ball into the cockpit. So now I'm going to put in the battery and try to do a run. And also another thing that I need to do, because as I'm not going to have the cows, is the batteries are just stuck with Velcro, right? So rather loose. The one in the cockpit will be okay, I hope, but these will be rather loose. So I think I'm going to make also maybe 2 holes and just with some thread make sure that before they fly, that before it goes into the air, that I tie it down kind of with a piece of string simply, or some thread. So now let's see how I do this. I'm going to turn on the transmitter. I'll plug in engine number 3 and it will start to beep. It's beeping. Engine number 1 will start to beep. Beeping. And now engine number 2, which also is the battery that powers also the receiver, and then it should bind. Okay, so like a concept of beeping and everything there. I also have to maybe stick down with some tape the cables, and I'm also thinking for the ESC maybe just some tape would be enough just to cover it up. We'll see. And now let's see how I manage to squeeze the battery into the cockpit and everything. Easier said than done, of course. Everything to be in there. Sometimes I use like a broken propeller blade to squeeze things in, because it is really quite tight. There's a rubber band there also that might help it. It does feel heavy, of course, significantly heavier. Let's see if that's a view that you can see. And then control check, ailerons, elevator, rudder, and engine startup. 1 and 3 will start first, and then number 2 will start. There we have all 3 engines on, max rev. I needed to stop. I didn't go to maximum because it felt like it wanted to actually go over the barrier. So if I can find something to hold it down other than myself, I'm going to try a jacket, hopefully not damaging it, trying a full rev, full engine run up. Did you see that? Engine number 3 stopped. Going to try it again. And again, engine number 3 stopped. What could that be? Maybe not getting enough power, maybe my soldering wasn't good enough. Maybe there's interference between the cables. I had that once happen before. Let me play around a bit with that. Maybe the battery is not charged enough. Another test. Engine number 3 has stopped. I'm going to switch the batteries out. I'm going to switch battery 1 and 3 out to see if that is the issue. So batteries 1 and 3 have been switched out. Let's see, or switched over. Let's see now. So it seems to be the battery, because now it's engine number 1 that failed. I'm going to do maybe I'll charge it up, because maybe the one that I was doing tests with, I'm not sure, so it might be depleted a little bit. And then I'll go on testing. But this is fun, isn't it? In any case, I'm going to leave it there. So thank you everybody very much for following along, for all your comments. And at some point, I hope to have this one in the air. Let's see if it flies and doesn't crash right away. Thank you everybody. See you later. So I'm a little bit confused. So let me tell you the issue while I connect up the batteries. First thing is that I figured out that this battery B, only works if it's connected to engine number 2. So let's connect it up. The good thing is that in this process I managed to get engine number 2 to start up at the same moment. So somehow with this I've managed to basically reset or calibrate the ESC, and I'm not sure how, but it somehow worked. And then another issue that came up is that when I connect all the batteries up and have it launched up, I'm going to show you, let's see if it happens again, then another engine then stops. So let me connect it all up. It's all beeping here like I don't know what. And then while I start up the transmitter, as you might see also, I decided to go ahead and I put on the cowlings. I painted the bottles, I shortened them so that it just covers up the front part, and that I have access to the battery, because that's what's going to be changed more and more. And let's see if this beeping stops. Okay, so now I'm going to hold it back here now by hand. I haven't tested it here on the table yet, but let's see what happens. Again, well, let's do, okay, so surface controls are okay, just to know. And then, so engine, let's see how far up we can get. Okay, again, less than 50%, and one failed, and then it reconnected again. all engines start up at the same time, but it failed. So now it's this other battery that's giving the problem, right? Could it be the charge? Maybe, I'm not sure. I can try to switch these two over just to see if it's the battery or not. I might need to charge them. I did actually charge at least the one that's in the middle now, just to make sure if it was that, but let's see. Also curiously, they don't bind up until one of the side engines is connected, the ESCs are connected, whereas I thought it should actually just bind up to this engine at least, because that's the one that actually has the electricity going to it. But anyhow, let's try it again and let's see what fails now. Again, this one failed, and then it just pulled down and it starts up again. So is it possible that the battery is too weak? Maybe. What was happening also in an experiment, and was with the other one, let's see if it happens again, is that it went into an error and it started to beep like crazy. Let's see if I can reproduce that. Now this one didn't want to stop. I don't know if you saw it. I had pulled the throttle back down. Something started to beep like crazy and it was continuing to rotate. So something is wrong. I just don't know what. So I might do a bit more of experimenting with this. I'm going to take them all off now. My theory at the moment is that the batteries, because they're different, because they may be low quality, because I don't buy expensive stuff, then that's kind of messing up all the electronics. And I'm basically not sure what the trigger is. Engine failing because of battery, I think, and then one engine going into error, which is beep 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 beep, very annoying. And the only way sometimes is just to unplug it and then plug it in again, and then it starts up again. So something is going wrong. A possibility would be to fly, but just to be very careful not to go up maybe 40% of the throttle or something like that. At that point it seems to be holding okay. If I go beyond that, then the risk comes of failure. So I'm not really sure. I'm going to leave it now because it's I think this video is dragging on a lot, but you might have some ideas. In the meantime, I'm probably going to just hang up the plane again in its place, somewhere hanging above my head, and try to maybe check if I can find some other batteries. That's the only thing I can imagine it can be at the moment. In any case, thank you everybody very much for following along, for watching, and all your comments. Everything, any idea is very much welcome, and I'll see you next time.